Hi, everybody. I'm back. Um, Last time, I think it was on Friday, we covered, we started covering the Yoga Sadhana Patanjali. And we covered this section right here. Since then, I have I reread that section, and I also read all the way down to this section here. So I'm going to review this section, and I'm also going to incorporate this section, which amplifies and expands on this section. Okay. Now, I could totally scramble everybody's brain by reading this entire portion here. But if you want to read it, you can simply stop the tape, press pause, and read it at your own leisure. What I'd like to do is go back to the graphic that I've created. And since creating this graphic, or since reviewing it with y'all last time, I went back and made some changes, and I'm going to walk you through the entire section of the sadhana practice that I highlighted just a minute ago. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to expand this guy right here. You remember the 8 limbs, right? Let's review them really quickly. The yamas are the restraints, and they consist of ahimsa, non-harming or not causing pain to others, satya, not lying, asteya, not stealing, brahmacharya, focusing on the divine, and aparigraha, non-hoarding. And then the niyamas, or the observances, socha, cleanliness, santosha, contentment, tapas, zeal for yoga, svadhyaya, self-study, and ishvara, pranidhana, surrender. And then we have the asana, the poses, pranayama, control of the breath, pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses, dharana, intense focus. These first 6 are things that we do. Dhyana, state of meditation, and samadhi, state of oneness, come one after the other upon the heels of practicing these first 6. In some cases, there are recorded instances where people go straight into samadhi without doing any of these other guys, or go straight into dhyana without doing any of these other guys. But generally speaking, one builds upon the other. Okay. Now going back to the Sadhana of Patanjali, is based on the action of yoga, also known as Kriya Yoga. The Yoga Sadhana of Patanjali comes to us as a penance in order to minimize or eradicate these disturbed and destructive emotive thoughts and the actions that accrue from them. And we remember what the disturbances are, right? Here are the disturbances back here, in case you forgot. Lust, wrath, greed, infatuation, intoxication, and malice. I put the Sanskrit after on this one. I'll fix it later. So, focusing back on that. That's how we combat these disturbances, is with the yoga, the practice of yoga. And the Yoga Sadhana of Patanjali is a rhythmic 3-tiered practice. The Sanskrit for 3-tiered practice is Sadhana Traya, covering the 8 aspects or petals of yoga. These are the 8 aspects right here. In a capsule as Kriya Yoga, the yoga of action, whereby all actions are surrendered to the divinity. See 2.1 in Sadhana Pada, and you remember that, we covered that. So 2.1, tapas, svadhyaya, ishvana, pranidhana, kriya yoga, which means burning zeal in practice, self-study, and study of scriptures, and surrender. This is the 3 tiers right here. Surrender to God, Ishvani Pradhanana, are the acts of yoga. And you'll also remember that we defined each word. So I'll leave that open. I'll upload a new graphic as well for you all to see. These 3 tiers, Sadhana Traya, represent the body, Kaya, the mind, Manasa, and speech, Vak. So, you'll notice that I've highlighted the first 4 of the 8 limbs, which correspond to Kaya, body. The second, or the 5th and 6th limb correspond to mind. And the 7th and 8th limb correspond to speech. Not strictly speaking, but only for the purposes of this discussion. So, at the level of the body, tapas, or the drive toward purity, develops a student through practice on the path of right action. Sanskrit for that expression is karma marga. Diving deeper, tapas is a burning desire for ascetic, devoted sadhana through yama, niyama, asana, and pranayama. This cleanses the body and senses, karmendriya, and gnanendriya, and frees one from afflictions, klesa nivriti. On the mind side, at the level of the mind, through careful study of the self and the mind in its consciousness, the student develops self-knowledge, svadhyaya, leading to the path of wisdom, nanamarga. I know that "it's" here is misspelled. I hate when shit like that happens, so I'm going to fix it. That's easy to fix. And then, svadhyaya means the study of the Vedas, scriptural scriptures that define the real and the unreal, or the study of oneself, from the body to the self. This study of spiritual practice, Atma Sastra, ignites and inspires the student for self-progression. Thus, svadhyaya is for restraining the fluctuations, mana vritti nirodha. In its wake comes tranquility, samadhana sita, in the consciousness. Here, the petals of yoga are pratyahara and dharana, besides the former aspects of tapas. Speech. Later, profound meditation using the voice to pronounce the universal Om, Sutras 27 and 28 of the first chapter, which is the Samadhi Pada, chapter on contemplation. Directs the self to abandon ego, amakara, and to feel virtuousness, silata. And so it becomes a path of devotion, bhakti marga. Ishvara pranidhana is the surrender of oneself to God and is the finest aspect of yoga sadhana. Patanjali explains God as the supreme soul who is eternally free from afflictions, unaffected by actions and their reactions, or by their residue. He advises one to think of God through repeating his name, japa, with profound thoughtfulness, artha bhavana, so that the seeker's speech can become sanctified, and thus the seed of imperfection, dosa, bija, or defect, be eradicated, dosa nivritti, once and for all. From here on, his sadhana continues uninterruptedly with devotion, anusthana. This practice, sadhana ana, will go on generating knowledge until he touches the towering wisdom, Sutra 2.28, in the Sadhana Pada. So you can see here that Iyengar is focusing on the function of speech, or the function of speech in meditation. to achieve dhyana and samadhi. And so this is how I make sense of the section that I first highlighted in the introduction that focuses on the Yoga Sadhana of Patanjali. Thank you all very much. We'll see you soon.